So let's go. So as I told you today, we're going to talk about the problem-solving strategies, and the question, as the book was started, it was why bother to talk about that. And as you already know, my name is Antreas Naziris, and I'm giving this lecture for Atlantic International University. Yeah, so in today's lecture, we're going to talk about what's the real problem here. We're going to see some correct problem definition and wrong solution. That means that we can identify correct the problem in a situation, but the solution that we're going to give is going to be wrong. We're going to see what I mean. Then after that, we go to a heuristic for successful problem solving. That means that we're going to have 5 blocks, which we're going to talk how to reach a correct solution of each problem. Okay. Again, today we're going to talk about introductory. Okay, so we're going to see a spherical view of that, of course, with a lot of examples. From actually, some of them will be from real life examples, and some of them imaginary. You understand which is which. Anyway, enough with the chit chat. Let's go. So solving problems is an essential skill in life, but I think that you know it already. So we deal with different kinds of problems every day. Can you name some of those? Yeah, I'm just not gonna go through that. I will stay focused on some other questions. Okay, I will give this time my answer. The first one, there are the not very important problems that we deal with life. That it goes to go to where, or where to go for lunch. But on the other side, we have the more important problems. We have the problem in school. Maybe when we're kids, someone was bullying us, or something happened to school, or now that we're grown up, we have some problems in job. Maybe we want some raise, maybe something happened, or hopefully not, some health issues. Okay. So on the not very important problems, we can't just forget about it. But on the more important problems, like what we have seen, they might affect our life or career. So fortunately, most of real-world problems have several solutions. So although the more complex it gets, the fewer alternative solutions we have. So what is our goal here? So first we have to find, then select, and then we have to proceed to implement the best solution for the correct problem. So in order to do that, we must practice our problem-solving skills frequently in order to identify the solution for each different problem. So by understanding and practicing different core techniques, we have much more efficient problem solving. So actually that guy there is the book I got these informations. Okay, some other time I might present it to you, but not today. So what's the real problem? Let's get into it. So an extensive study amongst employees and managers define how they proceed with the problem solving, or collect problem solving techniques, or learn about difficulties occurred in solving real world problems. Those different questions that asked between employees and managers, this book, okay, from where we got the information, gives a summary of the above, okay, and this one gives us the greatest challenge to define the real problem instead of the perceived problem. So by doing an extensive research on different employees and managers or different jobs. We ask different questions like the ones above. We get the results here, an extensive spectrum of results, and we get to understand what's the real problem instead of the perceived problem. Okay, what is perceived problem and what is the real problem? We're gonna talk about it right now. So let's check an example of that difference. How do we identify these two, and why do we care about the perceived and the real one? So let's go with the first one. So we have the case of hungry grizzly bear, or if you want better, defining the real problem. So this case now. So imagine, okay, as you understand, this one is imaginary one. So imagine we have a student and a professor. And these two guys going backpacking to Alaska. So suddenly they see a bear, and that bear starts chasing them. So as it's normal, both start running. But it's clear at some point we reach them because the bear runs faster. What to do? So the student then stops while they're running with the professor and he's taking out his running shoes and continue with them. Now the professor is asking the student, you cannot outrun the bear even with running shoes. Why bother? And then the student says, I don't need to outrun the bear. I only need to outrun you. So who do you think is right and why? Now, this time I'm asking you. What do you think? Who is right and who's wrong? People, I'm asking you. Who do you think is right? Any question? Any answer, sorry, of that?
It's not an easy fix. It's not an easy solution, as you know. The bear is after the professor and the student, and the student decides to outrun the professor. And I myself, I'm trying to analyze the situation, and I'm having a real hard time to determine who is right and who is wrong. Maybe the student might want to attract the bear's attention onto the professor instead of onto him. But that's just a perception of mine. I'm not sure whether I'm on the right track. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the invitation of Professor Antreas. What is your input? What do you think? Who is right and who is wrong? The two people are running, trying to avoid the bear, but the bear, like Professor Antreas just explained, the bear runs faster. It's a matter of time before they will be caught. So your input, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to say something, no matter what it is, you know, Professor Antreas has invited us to get into the discussion, the chat, and I have myself decided to just give a standpoint of mine. It doesn't matter. There is, I believe, no clear-cut answer, but yes, your participation would be essential. The floor is yours, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna judge you. I just want to have a conversation, not to be just a blunt, just me talking, to be a boring lecture. I want it to
That's what it is. Yes.
Okay.
For those of you who might not want to speak, the chat line is also available. And
yes.
let's go ahead. If you don't want to speak up, you can go to the chat line and jot down whatever idea you want the audience to be aware of. So go ahead, ladies and gentlemen. We keep inviting you to join in and, you know, be part of the process of Professor Antreas' presentation today.
They are shy. They are shy.
Yes, they
no.
are.
Never mind. Never mind. I will keep. I will keep going. We have 3 sets of questions anyway. So yes, I will let that on me. Okay. Let's go through that. So as we have said, the bear will outrun them at some points. The student decides at some point while they're running with the professor to stop and put his athletic shoes. So I said, who do you think is right and why? So let me, okay, yes. Now the student realizes the perceived problem is to outrun the bear, the obvious, if you want, problem. Okay. But the real problem here is not to get caught from the bear. So if you want, the perceived problem is the one that comes fast to our mind. But if you think a bit about it, you get the real answer, which is the real problem there, which here is not to get caught from the bear. So the bear will satisfy the hunger with just one catch. Okay, so it's gonna take a person of the two, while it's gonna eat him. Unfortunately, what to do, that's life. The other person will run away and will have some valuable time to run and save his life. Okay, so that's it. So yes, actually, the student is right. So that's the example of the problem definition. So the problem definition is common, but a difficult task. So the true problems are disguised in plenty ways. So we must analyze the situation and extract a real problem in a sea of information. So the correct definition of a real problem is critical to find a workable solution. So sometimes we get tricked when treating symptoms instead of solving the root of the problem. So for example, okay, just another example, very fast. Instead of fixing the roof, which is leaking when it's raining, okay, we just put a bucket under the hole. But as you can understand, that one will bring a satisfaction of quick fix, but it's not going to solve the real problem, which is the hole there. Which, if we do that, what it costs us? It costs to lose money, to lose time, because we're just doing something that we find a solution that we have to find then another solution. It's going to waste us money, and also it's going to waste some effort. So now we are on the first set of questions. Here we are. So think of a recurring problem or situation in your life that you would like to resolve or manage better. Okay. Now take in mind the hungry grizzly bear case, the one we have just saw. Okay, and try to redefine this issue. Okay, so think of a problem that you have in your everyday life. Okay, think of how the student solved the problem, found the real problem, and distinguish it from the perceived problem, and trying to find the correct solution. Okay, to make it more simple. Now, do new possibilities come to mind? So for that, I will give you 5 minutes to think about it and give me a solution. Okay, so okay, understand you might be shy, we're all shy, okay, but if you don't want to talk, just write it on the comments. Okay, for me it will be okay as well. Okay, so what time? Oops, sorry, what time is now? Yes, I will give you 5 minutes. The floor is yours. Think about it and write it down, or in 5 minutes we start discussing it. Good luck.
In order to add a little bit to the new task, being proposed by Professor Antreas. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about coming up or just thinking of a problem that is coming back and forth all the time, recurring problem or situation in your life, and you would like to see how to go to the bottom of that problem and get it eliminated, or eliminate the problem or manage the problem. Again, the floor is yours. I'm repeating the same words from Professor Antreas. We need you, we need your input, ladies and gentlemen. Like the presenter pointed out earlier, it's not just about having a monotonous kind of presentation, a one-way presentation where we get everything from him. It's a matter of getting involved, coming up with ideas, and we are just brainstorming the topic of resolving issues, whether when we try to do so, we're looking at perceived problems, not the real issues, or in our attempts to resolve the issues, we only look at the symptoms instead of tackling the real problem. So again, we want you, ladies and gentlemen, to get involved. If you are shy, that is okay. If you do not want to show your faces, you do not want to speak up, please go to the chat line and jot down a few ideas for the audience. We will highly appreciate your participation. The session is yours, it's done, it's made for you. So go ahead, please speak or write. We're waiting for you.
Thank you, Dr. Racine, for the introduction. And people, he's right, Dr. Racine, there's no answer. Okay, I'm waiting for you. I don't have any solution on this question. It's you will find the solution, not me.
Yes. Now, as we are waiting for students to get involved, not the students actually, we're talking about the participants. Not everybody in our session is a student, but let me try to come up with something. You know, I was a classroom teacher for about 30 years in different schools, of course, in my area, Miami-Dade County, Florida, the United States. And there are some situations that have come up which I couldn't find, you know, any way out. We're talking, for example, about a student who would come to class and cause disruption, trouble every single day. You speak to counselors, you speak to parents, sometimes you have a direct chat with the student, and nothing has happened. It's a recurring situation, and sometimes I've tried to diffuse the issue, try to ignore it, but this attempt to resolve has simply made the problem heavier, more annoying. So this is a case, as the examples that you have requested from us, Professor Antreas, a situation that has come up, and you know, for a long period of time, there's been no solution in sight at all. So considering this case, what would be your standpoint? How would you manage to survive in that kind of situation?
You asked my opinion about that. Nice. So if you said right that you have talked with the principal, you have talked with the parents, right?
Yes.
Yes. The thing, you can even go and isolate the kids and talk to him, or you can search his background. Maybe his family, they go under some problems, or the situation that he has, or he gets bullied from his father or from his environment. There are different things to search about it. And Because of that, you can be friendly with him, try to give him some love, some extra care. You can, I think also my mother is a professor, so I know that she has also some issues, and she told me that if you take them aside and you talk to them, be more gentle with these people. And sometimes I think she bought them even chocolates, and she's trying to make them feel more comfortable. Surprisingly, they stop. They become more friendly and be more kind. Because, in my opinion, I'm not a psychologist, I'm an engineer. I believe that the people, not people is bad, and they just, it's the environment that they grew up, or they had some issues in their life that make them, I don't know, have these attitudes. And yeah, and I think you can solve it if you search more, I mean, and further to the problem, and yeah, think in different how can I say that, perspective, if you can say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry to interrupt. Actually, this is a case of the world of education in school. But let's put that aside and go to something else that I just got top of my mind right now as we speak about it. And I'm thinking of a situation that is virtually everywhere in the world. As I said again, it's not that it is an issue for me personally, but it just popped up in my mind. We are talking about what they call police brutality. That is everywhere in the world. Of course, personally, I've never had an issue with police, and I don't think I will ever have until I die. But as we watch the news, we can see that this is something that happens virtually everywhere, every society. I don't know in your area, Professor Andreas, but people talk all the time about how police have that kind of natural tendency to brutalize them and so forth and so on. And in this case, it is something that is happening every day, everywhere, for a long period of time, no solution in sight. So what do you think, Professor Andreas?
I believe, in my opinion, just, okay, we don't have this thing in Cyprus that much. We do have it because every country has this problem, every country.
Yes.
I believe it's close to the first example that you have said about the bullies or the people that cause problems in the school. I think these people, some of those, become police officers. I don't want to be biased. Okay, just to be honest. Yes. I have even friends that police officers, and they're really good people there, and they're helpful and stuff. But I know also some other people, unfortunately, that they are that kids that they were causing problems in the school. And I believe that you can solve this problem, but when they are kids, because when they grow up, their brain have, I don't know, they stabilize, it's formed. So after you become grown man or grown woman, you cannot change that much because your character has been developed. So yeah, you cannot change much at that time. So from the time that you are kids, try to show some love, try to be understanding, especially professors, and give them the good example, and that you are there for them. Therefore, I believe from their own, it's the case is solved.
Yes.
But that's always my opinion. Huh?
Yes. You may proceed then with your presentation, yes. Professor.
Of course, yes. I don't see any answers. Okay, we can proceed. Let me put this one down. Okay. So So now, getting to real solutions of the real problems, we need the discipline, stubbornness, but stubbornness, the good stubbornness, okay? And sometimes don't confuse stubbornness to be force an idea and don't change your mind. That's bad. So, and also avoid the pressure to accept less desirable, quick fix solutions due to time constraints. It's what we have said before with the leaking groove. Okay, that's a good example, sure. So let's see now some real life examples of poor definition on problems that lead to fall into trap. So the result, as we have said, is to lose money and time. And that I mean lots of them. And you're gonna see some examples now. So the first example is the impatient guest. Yes, it's the wrong defined. Okay, first we're gonna talk about wrong defined, and then the second part is gonna be well-defined problems and then wrong solutions. Okay, but first let's go with the wrong defined problems. So once upon a time, if you want to start like that, a hotel of many floors decided to increase its room capacity. Now, not long enough after the renovation, guests complained about the elevator delay. Of course, more rooms, more delay on the elevator, more people there, you can get it. So the building manager asked his assistant to find a way to speed up the elevators. And that's the perceived problem that the manager said about. Now, different elevator companies asked about, but nothing can happen to speed up the elevators. Now, then the manager gave new instructions. Find a location and design a new shaft to install another elevator. Now, architecture firm was hired for that, and finally, that firm points out the real problem. So the manager couldn't find it, so he was spotting only the perceived problem. But the firm, because they had experience on these kind of problems, they found the real problem. So the firm said, find a way to keep your guests happy with the current elevators. Why to give that much money? So finally, instead of putting effort to decrease the wait time, they decided to take the mind of the guest elsewhere while wait. How they did that? The guest stopped complaining after they put mirrors in front of each floor elevator. So that's why we have the mirror elevators, because we are people who like to see our faces, to see how my hair is like that, it's good, my shirt is well done and stuff. And while we have that in mind, the time passes. Okay, but when we have nothing to do, the time it doesn't pass. It's like when we're going to the toilet. Sorry for the expression, but when we're going to the toilet without our phone, yes, the time it doesn't pass. Okay, but when we get our phone, we can stay like 20 minutes or 30 there. It's potato, more or less the same problem, the same solution. So the next problem is the better printing inks. Yeah, still we're on the road to find problems. Now, some time ago in the USA, if I'm right, on the book it was 60 years ago, but anyway, we're not gonna go through that. So some time ago in the USA, it decided to redesign and improve the quality of paper money. Now, the design was completed. The new printing machine was installed. Few trials printing were carried out, but unfortunately, the ink on the new bills was marked when touched. So the perceived problem, instruction from one manager, once again, was to get better inks. So the people from government and college faculty came along trying to develop better printing inks, because on this kind of problem, sometimes you need some more scientific work behind it in order to solve the problem. So that's why we have also the college there. So not long before the program initiates, the funds withdraw, we have the real problem found. So this government and faculty, they were discussing audits, and they were lucky before they give the money, they found the real problem, which was what? So the problem was that the new machines didn't put enough pressure on the new type of paper. Therefore, the ink wasn't forced down enough into the paper to avoid smearing. So it was getting dirty. Therefore, the funds for the ink invested on the purchase of new printing machines. So the problem was solved like that. So instead of taking more inks, they found new printing machines in order to solve the problem and have more pressure for the paper. I think I have some messages here. No voice.
No, it's not about a student who was complaining about audio on her end, and I just responded. It has to be from the audio settings on her computer, not something that is general for everybody to go through.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Martin. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. Yes, the third problem here. We had the making gasoline from coal. It sounds nice. Let's see here what it says. So years ago, an oil company decided to produce liquid petroleum products from coal. The goal, it was the USA independency on foreign oil. So the procedure, yeah, you can see here the procedure, how it is. Yeah, don't worry, we're not gonna stay on that. I will make it rather easy. Okay, so the first part, it was the solid coal particles were ground up, as you can see with the crusher. It was mixed with the solvent and the hydrogen, and then it was passed through a furnace heater to the reactor that will convert the coal to gasoline. So although after the installation, the process was not operating properly. So the problem was that a massive amount of tar found in pipes in the furnace, which therefore that thing there, that tar was plugging the pipes. Okay. So the perceived problem from another manager, of course, he said the following instruction: improve quality of the solvents that are used to dissolve the coal and prevent the tar. So after getting that instruction, after a long time of efforts and changing the solvents, no solvent change was giving a better solution. So the real problem now, it was what? It was that the velocity of the mixture through the hot pipe in the furnace was very slow. So since it was very slow, the temperature of the mixed particles and solvent in pipe became high enough to form a tar on pipe. So the solution here, after we defined the real problem, was to use a smaller diameter pipe while maintaining same total flow rate to increase the velocity through the furnace pipe. Therefore, the particles and solvent have less time to react and form tar. Okay, I know this example is more mechanical, but it's also a good example to find the real problem and solution. So we have another example here. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Now, as we know, the cell phone makers working to increase sales as always. Now, one of their pioneers' ideas once was to add cameras on, which now their quality improved semantically. So now, what was the digital commentary industry response on the problem of the competition? So of course, it leads to perceived problem from a manager once again, who said, how could camera makers produce a less expensive camera to compete with cell phone cameras, which is wrong. You don't want to make less, to give less money to buy something, because the cameras are just to make cameras. But if you want to play with the phones, yeah, it's a lost cause. So the real solution here, it was to produce a higher quality camera that people want to buy than a low quality phone camera, because in the phone, at some point, you cannot improve it that much as you have a digital camera. Okay, so it's different. So the people found the solution really fast. Okay, and they spotted the real problem and found the real solution. So now the camera industry keeps producing cameras with features which is not available on cell phones. Okay, because I told you there is a limit on the phones that you can put cameras. So therefore they were smart enough and they proceeded very fast and to the target. So photography, we know that it's a personal activity which shows important moments in life. So the people want the best picture possible. So the camera industry didn't compete on cost with a cell phone. That what I explained, it's a lost game. You cannot compete with the phone, with the cell phone. Drop it. The phone is very fast. Instead, now the cameras wins by offering superior quality. So a very good camera, digital camera, cannot be reached by a phone, however good it is. You cannot. So yes, that was a really good example of finding really fast the problem. Okay, we are now on the review questions 2. Here we have 3 questions. The first one is there a common link through the wrong defined problems? And if so, what it is? Second question, it's about the example of the better printing inks. Here I'm asking you to make a list of 5 questions you would have asked before sending out the request for proposals to universities and industries for a new printing ink. And the third one, sorry, it's in the making of the gasoline from coal example. At what point or period of time would you have stopped testing the new solvents, and why would you have stopped? Okay. So for that, I'm gonna give you like 10 minutes, okay, just because we're gonna run out of time otherwise. And yes, I will give you 10 minutes to think about it and write me down your solutions, and I'm coming back to you. Yes,
once again, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is yours. Professor Antreas has come up with new questions for you. For example, is there a common link through the wrong defined problems? And he's also asking us to make a list of 5 questions you could have asked before sending a request for proposal to university and industries for a new printing ink. So think about it, voice your opinion, ask questions, or go to the chat line where you can write down the question, and I will convey or whatever you say to the professor, to the presenter, Professor Antreas Naziris. So please go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, make your voices heard, please.
So if you want to make it, thank you, Dr. Basin, just to make it easier and be faster on that, I'm asking you to answer just the first one and the third one, okay? Which the first one, it's from the slides, while the third one, the third question, it's just your opinion, okay? which says if they're making gasoline from coal example, okay, at what point would you stop, okay, testing the new solvents, and why do you think it will a good point to stop? So just these two questions, okay, the first and the third one. Don't be shy. You can also write it down on the text on the chat.
By the way, Professor Naziris, as we are waiting for questions, I don't know if my point of view is within the context of your presentation about problem-solving strategies, but I'm hearing this string or this concept for the first time, making gasoline from coal. I don't quite understand what you mean. If you would please expand a little bit on that, making gasoline from coal.
Yes, it was just a procedure. Actually, it was in the book, and the book that I found in order to create the lecture. It was talking about a procedure, a mechanical procedure on how to create gasoline out of coal. So that one actually it's a real procedure that it was described actually in the book. So it was, yeah, okay. So it was just putting the coal, it was crushing it, and they're using some hydrogen, and with a mixing of the furnace, they were creating a gasoline. So yes, it was actual procedure.
Okay, so this is something that is being looked into for the future in mind, or is it happening right as we speak right now?
It happened in the past, actually.
In the past, okay.
Yes.
So are there any vehicles running out of this type of gasoline this time in 2023?
I don't think so. It's very old technology. It was old technology, if I'm right.
Ah, okay, okay.
It was old technology.
All right.
Actually, this one, this one, the one with the machine, with the printing machine, also happened in the US. And I think also, which one else? Also, the one with the elevator happened as well. So there are some real life examples that happened.
Okay, I got you.
Yes. Okay, the one with the bear was not, but okay.
We are waiting on you, our participants. You are being unusually shy today, but we want you to have or take full advantage of this presentation. Like I pointed out at the very beginning, when it comes to problems and the ways to resolve these problems, this is something that we all going through, regardless of what we do in life, whom we are, where we all are dealing with problems, and the better equipped we are mentally to resolve those issues, the better off we are. So please, let's just be part of this all together. Your questions, ladies and gentlemen, your comments, your suggestions, whatever it is, so we can hear your voice, we can read your comments, we can see what you think, and you know, somehow some type of truth or technique or technology would come out of this session on this Monday, July the 10th, 2023 at Atlantic International University. So we are waiting on you. We are waiting for you. Go ahead, the chat line or direct questions. If not at this time, we've been somewhat unlucky today as we have fewer participants than every other time that I've been hosting these sessions myself. If no questions, Professor Naziris, I would highly recommend that you just proceed with the presentation.
Yes, I think it's better to proceed. We still have some slides. So let's go with the first one. Let me move the bar and kick it. So the first answer was that sometimes we get tricked on treating symptoms instead of solving the root of the problem. And to get to a real solution of the real problems, we need the discipline, stubbornness, and avoid pressure to accept less desirable quick fix solution due to time constraints. It's what I have told you. The first one, it's from the slides. So the second one, I just put some general questions here. I was expecting actually yours. So general questions are: what is and what is not possible to happen? Has this problem been solved before? Third one, is this worth solving? And someone is making some noise, people here, I don't know.
Yes, I hear the noise on my end as well. I don't know exactly what it is. Let me see if I can mute everybody. The noise seems to have disappeared. Yeah, it stopped.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for the help. So let's continue. So the fourth question, I'm telling you again, it's general. It's for your help for future purposes. Okay. So the fourth general question is: which resources are available to obtain a solution? So when we talk about resources, we talk maybe about money, maybe about time, maybe about the personnel, if we have enough personnel to execute this project, you can say. Anyway, and the third one, as I told you, it was your opinion. That's why I don't provide any solution. So let's go to correct problem definition and wrong solutions. So these problems, the participant of this problem correct point out the problem, but they gave some wrong solutions on the problem. So in this part, we will see the real problem correctly defined, but the solutions were incorrect or unnecessary. So the decision makers were competent, hardworking professionals, so don't give them wrong, although by overlooking essential details could have prevented accidents and mistakes. Let's see now these two examples. Dam the torpedoes or torpedo the dam. So this one actually existed, okay? So it was an idea of Australian government to increase the agricultural production by growing crops on wastelands. So some wild plants have seemed to be grown from time to time, but not crops. So the problem was well defined, which was too inefficient moisture to grow crops. Now let's go to the wrong decision for the solution problem. So a thought of pouring water to the food crops would have grown. That was the thought. Now they found a river, the Murray River, that was passing through the region, and the proposed solution was to design a system to divert that river inland to irrigate the land and grow crops. Now the multi-million-dollar dams built, the water was diverted and the irrigation was achieved. Imagine multi-million-dollar dam built for that idea. So after we have the dam built, the water diverted and the irrigation achieved, then the crops still didn't grow. But not only that, but the wild plants that they were there died as well. So what was the problem finally there? The problem is that the soil had a high concentration of salt, which only wild plants were able to grow. Now, by diverting the river water, it was dissolving the salt. Therefore, there was nothing that could have grown anymore. So that's why everything died there. Okay. So let's go to the second problem. What's the disease? Okay. Once again, we had a right problem We found the problem once again correctly, but they gave a wrong solution. Again, another real-life example in an American Medical Association convention that was for physicians actually, an upper body X-ray was shown in a booth for discussion. The physicians got the instruction, diagnose the disease from that X-ray and put your answer in the content box near the display. So it was a let's say a ballot, just to find the problem and put the correct answer, and from those they will choose one and will have a winner. So the correct problem statement is here to find the problem on the upper body. Now, the idea was supposed to be drawn to find the winner from the correct answers. The physicians, though, were so concentrated on the upper body, okay, from this body, from upper body, that they proposed any kind of lung treatment. For some reason, they thought the problem was on the lung, because they saw all this big picture of the upper body. They thought that the problem would be there on the lung treatment. In the end, only one found a true solution, which was a broken left arm. Okay, so in the actual picture, there was not a circle. The circle was mine. So yes. So only one found the solution. So there was no need to have a draw, because one had found the solution, one got the money. So now all project design failures came from 40 judgments rather than 40 calculations. So nothing guarantees you will never make mistakes or 40 judgments. But by using the methods and techniques in this course, you will be likely to do so. So a heuristic for successful problem solving. This one actually is going to give us a roadmap for the next lectures if you like this course to proceed. Okay. So until now, we observed examples of incorrectly solving problems, although that didn't happen because of incompetent decision makers. But then how did they do these mistakes, and how can we avoid doing the same? So structure the process of defining and solving real problems in a way to be useful in everyday life, both on and off job. It could be in the job, the problem, or maybe in the house. And that's the goal of the course. So it to achieve by providing a structure to problem-solving process, which called heuristic. So a systematic approach that helps guide us through the solution process and generate alternative solution pathways, which what is the problem-solving heuristic. So the heuristic cannot prevent people from making errors. Instead, provides a uniform, systematic approach to deal with any problem. So a heuristic is analogous to a set of directions from one place to another. So the building blocks of the heuristic have 5 steps problem solving, which we'll use is shown below. The first one is to define the problem, then to generate solution, then to decide which solution you want to use, and then implement. And then after you implement, we evaluate the solution to see if it's right or wrong. So, and these you can see are the steps, okay? That's the step for the heuristic. The first step is what we have said, is to define the problem, then to generate some solutions, then to decide the course of actions, then to implement the solution, and then we arrive to the solution evaluation, which we understand if this solution is good enough. Okay. So the first step, which is the problem definition, this one shows where the problem can resurface at any point of this process. This can resurface in a dead end, can resurface in case of criteria of the problem, or if we have some conditions that will change. First, we gather the information, and then we use specific techniques like Kepler-Trigoe. So this KT, Kepler-Trigoe, problem analysis technique, help to define the problem correctly. So in next chapters, I told you the next lectures, if we have, there are some material techniques will be shown to help define the real problem instead of the perceived problem. So we're gonna learn how to find the real problem in each situation instead of the perceived problem, to be capable to have a fast solution. Okay, fast and accurate, that matters. So the second step we have said that the generate solution, which here, once the problem defined, we generate a solution to solve the problem. One of the most popular industry technique to generate ideas, of course, is the brainstorming. I'm sure you have heard that before. Other techniques than brainstorming are futuring, think ahead of the time, analogies, and blockbusting. Now, an important part of idea generating step is to ask questions are following: what is and what is not possible? Has this problem been solved before? Is this worth solving? Which resources like time, money, and personnel are available to obtain solution? Yes, that's 4. Now, the third step actually is absorbed from the other steps, so I removed it from the outline of the course, so we can proceed to the 4th step, which is the implement part. Here, first implementation step is to plan the activities we need to perform to solve the problem. Then in later chapters, there are several techniques which will allocate time and resources, which will help to choose a solution. Now, the 5th and last step, which is evaluation. Now, in this phase, we look back to be sure all criteria in problem statement were fulfilled. Yes, good. Also, none of the constraints were validated. Yes, that's good. So we proceed. So this phase is implemented both in end and during the heuristic, especially if we make some major decisions or they will have some branch points occur. So in later chapter, there are some discussions on what must be done and evaluate the solution through questions like, has the problem really been solved? Is the solution you choose the best? Is the solution innovative, new, novel, or it's just merely an application of existing principles? And the 4th, is the solution ethical, safe, and environmental responsible? So don't worry, we're gonna finish in 2 minutes. So the heuristic just presented shows a roadmap for a journey to problem-solving process. So even with roadmap, sometimes we arrive at the wrong destination or takes us excessive time. So in problem-solving process, we need to approach the problem with positive and enthusiastic attitudes. Yeah, we had a 3rd part of questions, but due to time, I'm not gonna go through it. Okay, it was about to write 4 or 5 sentences to listing questions that you will have asked before building the dams for the dam the torpedoes example, and the other question, it was just a brainstorming, if you can say, of thinking two examples of well-defined problem but wrong solution problem. Okay, so that was the thing. So to conclude it today, we have talked about what's the real problem, a correct problem definition, wrong solution. Also, we talked briefly about heuristic for successful problem solving or building blocks of the heuristic, and that's it. Okay, so yeah, I'm done for today.
Thank you very, very much, Professor Antreas Naziris. That was awesome. I love everything that you've talked about. Very unfortunately, some of the participants, our usual attendees, were not notified for whatever reason. But ladies and gentlemen, just spread the word out. The session has been recorded. It will remain on our archives, and it will be available for you to see, review, and double check and send out questions, and so forth and so on. We are very, very pleased with that presentation, Professor Antreas. You've showed us the correct and incorrect processes of identifying and resolving issues, problems, or challenges. And those ideas will remain forever in our minds and also in the actual physical presentation. And those are ideas that we will keep brainstorming. We will keep using them as well. Your presentation, Professor Antreas, will remain for life at Atlantic International University and in the mind of every attendee, every scholar, everyone who is concerned about both academics and the ways to resolve problems in life. Thank you very much, Professor. I don't see any hand up, but again, we are very, very happy with everything that you've done. And we look forward to having you for the next chapter of that topic. And thank you very much. Let's have you for the concluding remarks before we close this session. The last words with you, Professor.
So thank you a lot for the kind words, Professor Vasilin. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for having me. Tell me if you like the class today. Tell me if you want to proceed with the full course. There are 12 lectures. Jonathan, I think you are raised your hand.
I was going to call on Jonathan. His hand has been up. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Unmute. Put on mute.
No, I'm trying. Okay, we got him now. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Why is not a question?
Okay.
I just want to thank Prof, because I am impressed with his method of teaching, because it makes me to be thinking all through his teaching. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being here.
We appreciate your comment, Jonathan. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you again, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
And so long until the next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Okay, Asante.